Hello, it's Belinda, sharing stories about my many years as a member of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, and also my testimony of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I still remember the day when our conductor, Craig Jessup, said, "We are going to own Christmas." And boy, was he right. Because back in probably 2001, we really started producing beautiful programs and even pageantry for the Christmas holiday. And it was around that time that the PBS station picked up our program and has carried it on through these past 2 decades. And there's no stop to it as far as I know. But as you might know, the Christmas programs have just become a tradition to so many families and have just been such a beautiful addition to the Christmas spirit and the Christmas season. And that's because the concerts are so beautifully centered on the love of our Savior and his praise and the joy of his coming to earth. And I'm going to make this in two parts because there's so much I can talk about for the past 20 years, as you can imagine. And I want to start with my first concert. And this was in the Tabernacle or the conference center as well, which was newly built back in probably 1999. And my first concert there was in 2001 with the beautiful actress Angela Lansbury. And I also remember a statement from Gordon B. Hinckley, the president of the church at the time, when he said about this new conference center that it would be a place of great performances and wonderful performers would come here with large audiences from all over the world. And that has truly come to pass. There was a point as well when a wonderful, generous donor gave a donation to the choir, actually created a foundation to carry on these performances and to be able to bring in these wonderful artists from all over the world, these professionals, and the foundation helped to pay for their coming and joining with us. So Angela Lansbury was just a beautiful person inside and out, and so sweet. And it's interesting because she continued a relationship with the choir, and we would hear things from her throughout the years after her performance of how she said hello and just how much she treasured her time being with the choir. And this was kind of a theme with almost all of our guests that came, that they had made such a connection and they felt like they belonged and they were part of our choir family. The next year was Walter Cronkite, the famous broadcaster. And we always had a special story that would go along with the theme of the concert. And his was about World War I. And that was when the choir leadership asked choir members to send in photos of their ancestors who had served in World War I. And I actually had a grandfather who did. And his picture was included in the concert. So I felt like that was an honor for me. Another wonderful guest that sticks out in my mind is Brinn Terl. Just a wonderful Welsh baritone and just a larger than life personality. And he really connected with us. And we actually in later years made a CD with him. It might have been more than one, but he came back several times to work with us after this Christmas performance. I want to mention my husband, Barry, because he received the opportunity to serve with the choir as a volunteer on the choir staff. And one of his responsibilities was to drive a cart between the Tabernacle and the conference center and carry choir members that might be on crutches or that might need some transportation at the time. But he also was able to use this cart to take these special guests back and forth between the buildings. And so he had the opportunity to really get to visit with people and talk to people. And that was really a blessing and joy to him. He really enjoyed that. So he probably got to meet and talk to almost all of these people I'm talking about. I didn't. We just, as a choir, would be able to hear from the special guest as a group. And they would always greet us when they first arrived. And then, of course, during rehearsals and things, we would get to hear from them. And many had great sense of humor and humors and things like that. But that was the extent of how much we got to visit with them. And it wasn't much at all. Another guest that really sticks out of my mind is Audra McDonald. Beautiful mezzo-soprano, beautiful person. And this is one of my among the first of my Christmas concerts. And that was just a lovely sister. She was a lovely sister that performed with us. And she as well came back more times to be with us and to work with the choir. I think my favorite singer out of all of these is the man Alfie Bo, the tenor. And he just sang the most beautiful rendition of Bring Him Home in our Christmas concert. But this concert also was really special, and this probably sticks out to everyone that's been following our Christmas concerts, because it featured the candy bomber and this wonderful soldier who collected candy and sent candy out by parachutes from his airplane to the children in Germany that were really suffering from want. And it was just an amazing spectacle of what took place. Tom Brokaw was the narrator of the story. And as you can see in some of these pictures, they actually reenacted those little parachutes flying down from the ceiling of the conference center. That was just a really inspiring story, and it's just a beautiful production. But it's such a joyful time as we think about the gift of God's only begotten Son that he gave to the world to save us from sin and from death. So the next concert I want to talk about is our wonderful guest, John Reese Davies, who is an actor and was in the Indiana Jones movies and also the Lord of the Rings movies. But boy, was he a personable, friendly person. We just really enjoyed him, and he came back several different times to say hello. And I know he came to Utah, to BYU, to do some events and things. But we just made a really good friend in him and made a great connection with him. But that concert was awesome because the theme was about the story of Charles Dickens. And I think about writing the story of A Christmas Carol. But John Reese Davies had the garb on of, the ghost of Christmas present, the beautiful green robe and the crown on his head. And he and the young man who was playing Charles Dickens actually were floating through the air throughout the conference center. And so that was just so much fun, so awesome. And it was just a really memorable event and such pageantry. And oftentimes the beginning of the concert would be dancers coming in and coming down the aisles and just creating an amazing type of introduction. The choir even got to come in and do that type of choreography as well. And that was a lot of fun when we were able to do that. But everyone involved is a volunteer. The dancers are young people from the area, and they need to have some experience, but many times we've used children, and they've just all been volunteers and so excited and so happy to be a part of the production. Another concert that I really enjoyed was our focus on Handel's Messiah. And we had 4 beautiful soloists from the Metropolitan Opera that came. And we did, of course, numbers from the Messiah, but we also were able to portray the life of the man, and had an actor portray him and told the story of him composing that work of the Messiah. So that was truly beautiful and memorable. And of course, the costuming is always stunning and very well thought out. And I want to mention a very special person that is behind the scenes but has so much to do with these productions. And his name is David Warner. And he's a very creative and very talented artist who really plans these productions and does so much to make them all be so successful. How can I not mention our concert with the Muppets? And it was just a delight, as you can imagine. And it was just a lot of fun. It just felt like revisiting my childhood. And I think one of the cutest moments was when Rick Elliott at the organ was interacting with Count Dracula, or whatever his name is, the Count. And that was really cute. And then more recently, we had the beautiful, amazing singer and actress, Kristen Chenoweth. And there was, I think she sang Angels Among Us, and she was the angel among us, because she was truly a light and a beautiful person. She was so enthusiastic, so happy to be there with us, just so thrilled, and she let it show. And yes, she did visit us again. I think it's been a couple more times since that experience. It's like they just want to come back and come home again, and as they felt so welcomed and so part of the organization. And I think Lloyd Newell does tell them that at parting when they leave us for that weekend, and he does tell them that they are now part of the family of the Tabernacle Choir. And they are presented with a beautiful, very large picture, beautiful framed picture tied with a very large bow that has a picture of them with the Tabernacle Choir behind them performing the concert. And they're given that as they leave. But not only that, when they arrive in town at the beginning of their performance with us, they are have a beautiful gift basket left in their hotel room, and that's just they usually mention it, how welcome they felt and what a lovely gift for them. And we just kind of treat them like royalty, and that really gives them such a feeling of belonging and welcoming and love. And I don't think there's been one guest that has not been touched when we sing to them at the close of our busy week of the concert series, God Be With You Till We Meet Again. And Mac has them turn around and face us. And of course, as you can imagine, for anyone, it would be quite overwhelming to be sung to by this group, but they are truly touched, and they knew that God was with us, and that our prayer was that God be with them until we meet again.